Every photographer knows that light is everything, because it can either ruin your photo or make it great. And I have been obsessed with light. I relied a lot on the golden hour, as I thought that it was the best possible time to take pictures. And it was another reason why I became so anxious as November approached. Since my childhood, I have always hated November. When you wake up at 8 AM, it's still dark, and you don't thank God for the approach of another day, but instead you have the worst curses in your head. And by 4 PM, it's already getting dark. That's why I would become anxious even in August, as I already could feel the approach of the cold dark monster. But this year, I vowed to myself to try and find a way to fall in love with November. But how can I possibly fall in love with this gloomy and dull month, when I feel sick and exhausted all the time? I found the first hint all of a sudden, as I read these collected works by Oscar Wilde. In the Selfish Giant short story, Oscar Wilde writes, "He didn't hate the winter now, for he knew that it was merely the spring asleep, and that the flowers were resting. So I thought, if spring rests right now, maybe it's bedtime for light as well." So I decided to abandon all the regrets about the absence of the bright, soft and warm light, as the dull light of November is actually an advantage. Let's take a brief look at some of the photos I've taken. So, in the first minutes of my photo walk, I noticed this guy who was kicking the snow. And I thought that it could be a very good representation of an emotion I have towards November in general. As you can see, in order to capture the emotion, I decided to go with slower shutter speed. Then I noticed this weird statue of some rabbit wearing a sweater and a funny blue hat, and a lady who was cleaning the snow in front. And I tried to compose them somehow, but I think this shot doesn't really work because it's not so simple to identify what this statue is. But maybe it can burst some curiosity. What do you think? This is a funny shot because I noticed this long nail here, and it's actually matching her electronic cigarette, and I thought that I could use this group of teenagers as a frame for people passing by and the guy who cleans the area from the snow. In this area I could see some potential the background has, as it is very colorful and it contrasts with this muddy gray snow. And the lady who's cleaning the snow also wears a very vibrant red coat and has an interesting posture. So I waited for this guy and tried to compose something. This place also works very well as a background because of the two Vietnamese girls in the background who contrast with people wearing some warm coats, and overall the colors which refer us more to the Asia, to Vietnam. All this contrasts with the area, and I intentionally tried to overexpose this photo because the white dresses of the Vietnamese girls, they work very well with the white snow. In this photo I like how the snow works, because in the bottom part of the frame it's pretty dirty, in the middle part it's white, and also the entrance into the building it's white too. And the figures to the right and to the left were interesting, so I was waiting for someone to pass by, and I slowed down the shutter speed to make his movement more apparent. Before I took this photo, I could see the smokers, who are very nicely framed in the right part of the frame, and I thought that I could use the slower shutter speed to frame all the subjects in this photo and make some interesting subject blur. Before I took this picture, I noticed the hole in the head of the singer in the poster, and I thought that if I could do something else, the whole frame could work. I just waited for some group of teenagers who framed the two posters. I think it's a pretty nice shot. I think this photo works pretty much like the photo with an old lady, as I also saw the emotion on the lady's face. But I like this photo a bit more because I like that their coats create some sort of harmony with the snow. This photo is a great example of how dull light can help, because it actually creates the mood in the photo. It is bluish, it is not very bright, and it brings some melancholy to the photo, in my opinion. It took me quite a while to take this photo. I could see this guy resting in in the bench as he was looking at the cityscape. He was probably enjoying his moment alone. I like that he enjoys the beauty of the place, no matter that it's quite cold and so dull. When this guy approached, his posture was quite dramatic. I'm really happy that I could compose this photo like that. It's already 4 p.m. and it's getting even darker, and I tried to capture this darkness, and I didn't overexpose as I wanted to keep the bluishness, and it works very well, especially taking into account the fact that the guy also wears the blue coat. This one may be the closest I could approach to capture the November's beauty. As I saw this rowan tree, this guy wearing red matches the rowan berries so beautifully. This photo looks like some artistic painting. I also like that if you look at the left upper corner of the photo, it looks like some kind of Japanese painting, and I love this picture so much that I can show you. Right here, I already printed this photo. Yeah, it's a very lucky moment. I took this photo as I was already driving home from the photo walk. The people in the bus captured my attention. Then I could see that someone was reading a book, others were in their phones. This lady in the bottom right corner of the frame is thinking about something. This frame is very nice, centered by the girl wearing a white hat. I also like some small details, like the moisture on the window. Overall, I think visually it is a very pleasing photo. So thanks to this photo walk, I learned that if you have light which is sad, dull, and makes you sick, you can actually crystallize this sickness into your photos. And in the end, it may be an advantage compared to having perfect golden hour light. If you enjoyed this video, I ask you very much to support this channel. You can like this video, leave your comment and subscribe on my channel. And I invite you to watch the next video on the tips you can use to become a lot better in street photography in a very short period of time.